technically this isn't supposed to be a war between the United States and Russia.
Yep.
What's happening is that every time the United States gets in, if you remember back in like March, French President Macron came out and said that that Biden needs to stop commenting on the conflict. It was shortly after Biden was in Poland and said, for the love of God, nobody should let this guy reign.
Let's take him out.
Because what was happening is Biden's like very overt implications of how the United States stood to benefit from this conflict was throwing off NATO's goals. And since then, you saw the French president come in and say, Biden, back down. You've seen the German chancellor step up and say, we need to create a NATO without the United States military being the biggest force, which is why Germany's doubling down on building their army. Because they're like, we need to be the largest army in Europe so that we can drive NATO. Because right now, the United States drives NATO. And if you look at NATO's charter, guess who can join NATO? European states. Yes, it's called the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. The only North Atlantic countries that are allowed into that are not European are Canada and the United States.
Yes.
Right? Even the charter itself says we're open to new people if they're European. So it makes no sense that Europe is basically operating at the behest of whatever the United States chooses to do.
Yeah, we were finding this article because you just mentioned this. This is from 2 days ago in the Kyiv Post, so straight out of Ukraine, where the headline is Zelensky says open to talks with Russia, and the article says exactly what you think it
So
is.
I understand the Twitter armchair analysts out there who basically want to shit on everybody all the time. I get shit on by them too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Zelensky's changing this or changing that or whatever it's going to be, right? 5 days ago he said this and now he's saying that. That's the nature of conflict.
Yeah.
If you're not a professional soldier, if you're not a professional public servant, you don't understand policy changes, priorities shift. That's just how it works. Same thing's happening on the Russia side. So is it a W to use your terminology, right? And I talked about this with Lex when Lex and I were on the Lex Fridman podcast. While a win doesn't look the way people think it's going to look, right? Your typical uninformed person thinks that a win is going to look like Russia raises their hands and gives up and leaves Ukraine alone. A win is most likely going to look like Russia says, we'll stop here.
Yeah.
And Ukraine says, we'll accept that. And maybe there's a ceasefire and they've still lost 20% of their territory.
And what does that mean for the world if Russia now has 20% of Ukraine, new 80%
Brother, what does
Ukraine?
it mean? What does it mean for the world if Russia has 100% of Ukraine?
Yeah.
What did it mean for the world on February 23rd before Russia ever invaded Ukraine? It means nothing to the world. Ukraine is not a strategic objective for anybody.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
This is a Putin. This is a narcissism 101, man. Let me get what I think is mine. I'm crazy. I'm out of my mind. We seen it on Pennsylvania Avenue 2 or 3 years ago. It's the same shit.
So what?
You know,
why
it's
are we
the same
pumping
shit.
100? If that's the case, obviously, like there's a humanitarian crisis there. So I see
we're
that.
the leaders of the free world, right? So that's
Julian,
what it comes down to.
Julian, ask yourself the hard question, right? You're asking the hard question right now.
Yeah.
What's the point? What's the point? Why is the United States involved in this? It has nothing to do with Ukraine's independence or sovereignty helping the United States.
Do we own them? Is that part of it? Client state over there?
Even if you did, like, what do you own? You own a poverty-stricken country that's on the verge of a failing democracy. That was before it was invaded. You want to know what you get out of this conflict? The United States gets to practice logistical shipments of large-scale weapons and movements across the world in time for a real battle. You want to know what the United States gets out of it? They get to burn through old surplus weaponry and test experimental weaponry on an active battlefield. Why is that beneficial to the United States? Because our real threat is 7,000 miles away.
Yep.
And if we don't get a chance to practice a protracted war halfway across the globe, then we're going to get caught with our pants down when China invades Taiwan. Because guess how far away China is from Taiwan? Only 80 miles further than Russia was from Ukraine.
Well, according to one China Danny here, Taiwan's a part of China.
Oh.
That's not one China Danny. That's one China Biden, too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Sleepy Joe's got a big meeting on Tuesday. This will all go away. Don't worry. Don't fret. He's got it under control.
Isn't China already shooting fucking missiles towards Taiwan?
Absolutely.
They're showing what their capability is.